may be familiar with the case of the FBI versus Apple wanting to get into a locked phone that may or may not be helpful in a shooting in San Bernardino, and the struggle between the two, which ignited into the tech world with many tech companies standing behind Apple and refusing to create a software backdoor to their own security software. The FBI has dropped their case because they found a third-party helper in that. So I suppose it's all settled right now, kinda, sorta.
Yeah, yes and no, because the issues are still there, and this will come up again eventually. And Apple, I think, is an interesting reaction. Apple was like, "Well, you need to prove to us that you could do it." Like they're not letting it go either, because they want to save face for their customers as well with security and what have you. It's like, wait, how did you find a third-party person? You better show us that you can actually do it before you claim that you can do it, because that affects how a lot of our high-end clients feel about the security that we've installed on the phones.
Yes, well, they did vacate the order previously, so I think it's not a gambit to say, oh, we don't need you, Apple.
Right.
But yeah, this is still a serious issue in which we're talking about. Does the government have the right to force a company to break its own security? And I think a lot of people would agree or disagree, but I would say no, we shouldn't have that, because that negates what we signed up for in the first place and our confidence in that. And when does it stop?
Well, as a former military guy, and I was in military intelligence for a few years, so for me, I think it's a case-by-case basis.
Yeah.
And I think with something like this, because a crime was committed, and I mean, if we have a chance to catch a serial killer, why wouldn't we be able to hack something into theirs and be able to find them? I think if you can do that in a situation, then yes, and it's evident that it is the person, then I think you should have the right to make that request, and the judge should be able to approve that, because it's a case-by-case basis. I think everything... It can't be blanket all around. It can't be a generalization about how it should and shouldn't be done, at least in my opinion.
Fair.
And that's the only reason I feel that way, because in terms of crime, and I don't mean in terms of like, finding your ex-boyfriend or ex-girlfriend or anything like that, like any stalking issues, but it's more about like if there's a crime about to be committed or a bunch of heinous crimes have been committed, I think you should have the right to access what you need to access to stop it.
Well, we have to wonder where we go now from here, and also in terms of where Apple's standing, which is someone is able to break into their software without them. So would they have to build another layer of encryption? Are they going to have to take it a step further? Do we need to reveal what's going on? Probably no. There's a lot of questions still going after this solved matter, I suppose.
That's a great point you make, actually, the third line of defense. That could be something that should be negotiated, and if that situation comes up again, then you can argue that point. Like, okay, for this situation, then the third line of defense is why we created this, so now you can access the phone through this third line of defense, and that's a fair, that should be argued, because I think it's still important. But privacy is I'm a big fan of it, and I think it's very necessary. Let's make that very clear. I'm not saying, the government should have access to all our stuff. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying in certain situations when it's very evident that they need to, and it can stop crime from happening, or you can convict someone who has been committing a number of heinous crimes, it should, and especially even corporations like the big banks. I mean, if we had access to their cell phone records of what had been discussed, what hadn't been discussed, or their emails,
they're never going to convict them.
Right.
Not in our current system.
I know, but like the anger from The Big Short, the anger from people exploring these issues now during the campaign and political season, I think the next time it happens, there's certainly a stronger push by the public to make that happen, and that's all you need.
I should think so. After all this. But back to the Apple case. The way it currently works is there's two layers of security. One involves your secret passcode. One is a secret key that is already input in the phone. There is some intermeshing. You are only allowed to enter the passcode once 80 milliseconds, I believe.
Yeah, once every 80 milliseconds.
And that there's an auto erase function. So what the FBI had requested was a way to circumvent that, and somehow they did find a way on their own to do just that, one can assume, without, I don't think they hurt the data. So, I mean, I don't know what this means for the future of people who have Apple products and are concerned about their security, but it is out there. Audience, what do you think? We have so many questions. I mean, was this the right thing to do? Did Apple have an obligation to help the FBI? How confident do you feel about Apple products now? Let us know below in the comments, and please like and subscribe for more.